Last episode, we had just wrapped up a stay in St. Augustine on our first mooring ball, and now we're off to Jacksonville for a rendezvous with friends. We're slowly cruising America's Great Loop, which is a circumnavigation of the eastern part of the U.S. by waterways. When it gets too cold, we store our boat and then return to our RV and continue roaming around the U.S. in the south. We are in downtown Jacksonville.
Literally floating, anchored downtown, right there.
I-95 is what I'm looking at that way. It's pretty cool to be here. But we've actually had a few other stops. A few other getting here.
Yeah, so we last did an update in St. Augustine, and then we cruised north up the ICW. Found a beautiful isolated anchorage.
So it was the peak of the Perseids meteor shower, so we wanted somewhere with minimal ambient light to hopefully see some shooting stars. This was like a little oxbow that used to be the ICW that is now kind of shoaled in, and the ICW now diverts around it.
Yeah, and when they made it deeper, they bypassed the old river course. And it was really neat to experience the extreme tides, because this also was the new moon. And so we had, I think, about a 7-foot total tidal swing there, which we've never experienced something quite that big yet.
And apparently that's part of now the territory that we're in moving north. As we go through Georgia and things like that, that's going to be normal. So it's really good to get our feet, I guess, not wet, dry almost.
Yeah, it's like, wow, so we were like this deep when we got there. It's like, now we're getting close to running aground. We planned our depth well, but it was very dramatic to see the shoreline just sinking in on us.
Our depth sounder was reading about 1.5 foot at the lowest tide, and that's from the bottom of our keel. Us. That's not the total depth of the water. But it was kind of like, woo, that's close.
Mm-hmm. And so that was a beautiful, tranquil stop. We wish we could have stayed there a few more days even. But we had a rendezvous to make, because
these guys behind us.
That cute little sailboat was cruising down from Georgia towards us, and we were cruising up to meet them, and we had a rendezvous right at the intersection of the ICW and the St. John River.
Ann and Elliott have been following our blog since about the time we hit the road. We've become dear friends over the years, meeting up all over the country. Now they have a sailboat, and we're looking forward to this unique rendezvous in Jacksonville. So we continued northward, this time really timing the tides, because up here, especially with the new moon, the tides would create a lot of current.
Yeah, and the river current too. Oh, this bridge up ahead of us is notorious for ridiculously fiendish currents at certain tidal conditions, up to 7 knots, which would have been basically doubling our speed going down right through the bridge if we'd been a few hours later in the day, but we're timing it so that right now the current is 0.8 knots towards us, and by the time we get to the bridge it should be perfect slack and no current at all. So hopefully we've done this right, and this will be a smooth crossing as opposed to surfing. And apparently dolphins even surf the wave at this bridge because it is such a strong current.
And even with perfect timing, there were some minor rapids, but we nailed it.
Wow, okay, there's little rapids.
And the St. John's has its own river current. And it's really kind of tricky because if you hit it wrong, then you're suddenly you're basically just dumping fuel overboard and not getting anywhere.
And particularly our friends Ann and Elliott with their little sailboat and that small motor, when we decided to change anchorages to get someplace a little bit more tranquil from our rendezvous point further up the river, happened to be kind of at peak ebb or near it.
And we're like, oh, it's only 4 miles, no big deal, we'll just do it.
And they were making a half-knot headway for a while, and they're like, it's going to be an 8-hour trip for us, so you go ahead, we'll catch up with you.
We decided because every 3 hours we're supposed to blow out, really go up on plane and blow out the turbos and all the stuff that accumulates, because we normally cruise at 7-8 knots. And so we said, well, let's just go up on plane. It's nice open water. We haven't had this open water in a while. And we're going to go up on plane. Normally we can get up to 15, 16, 17 knots.
9,
we
10.
Got maybe 9 fighting against the current. So that was pretty extreme.
It was fascinating to experience that. It was also fascinating to experience being in a major port. So there were like military ships there as we came around the bend. There were huge freighters and car carriers. We saw a cruise ship go right past us. That was also pretty neat, cruising up the St. John's.
So we found a nice little tranquil anchorage with a view of a cargo loading dock, but it was tranquil where we were. Had a lovely evening with Ann and Elliott, and then we all made our way to downtown Jacksonville, this time planning around the currents properly.
Yeah, so we all rode the flood up to downtown.
We're heading there. There's a little anchorage in the lee of an island where Catherine is waiting for us. And we'll set anchor and wait out this little squall.
We had three plans for downtown. Jacksonville has a free marina, 72-hour free marina, and you can pay $8 a day for power over near the football stadium, or free dock at Jacksonville Landing right in the heart of downtown. But we'd heard that had been damaged in Irma very seriously. And then we had a backup plan as an anchorage further along.
We kind of missed communication with our buddies. They were managing opening the bridge, which we didn't have to do. Well, we were like, the anchorage, the marina's over here. It looks good. It looks easy.
Marina's wide open.
You weren't
It's
answering
good time,
your phone,
good time.
so we decided all go through. We checked out Jacksonville Landing. The docks just looked not nice. And then we would be, even if we got in, we would be like right next to dining areas.
The people at Hooters would be swilling their beers and looking down right on our boat. And I'm not sure that we prefer. We can easily boat and tie our dinghy up at Jacksonville Landing and see the restaurants and walk around. And we're here in peaceful, tranquil paradise in the middle of the river.
So we are kind of anchored in between the train bridge and I-95 in front of, what is that over there?
Baptist Hospital, yes.
It's an anchorage that our friends Sean and Louise have stayed at before, so we read up all their tips on it. And there's 2 free dinghy docks, one right by I-95 and one at Jacksonville Landing, so we can get ashore, do things. Apparently, I don't know if you saw, Sean said, over that way there's actually cool restaurants.
Okay,
that's the cool area. That's where we want to be going.
Not
over there.
Okay.
I mean, that's fun and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but that's the cool stuff.
Yeah, the downtown we discovered kind of closes up the doors at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and it's kind of a dead downtown, other than the landing area and stuff. But we have found some fun. We've had some good food. We went to the Science Museum. We rode the People Mover around.
Met up with some of our Patreons here, Monica and Charles. It was great to meet them on their first RV excursion after going full-time a week ago.
We had somebody else while we were dinghying around who yelled to us while they were riding their bike across the bridge saying, "Hey, Technomadia," which was like, whoa, wow, we've never been recognized in the dinghy before.
Thanks, Dylan. And we have some other Patreon meetups going on later this week as we continue to explore the Jacksonville area. So it's been going to be a social stay. We're hoping to do some boat projects because there's always boat projects. And continuing to hang out with our buddies Ann and Elliott before they need to return back to their home in Georgia. So their engine isn't really working all that well, and they decided to go ashore. And then they tried to paddle back, and the current got them.
So yeah, then we saw them. They were making more progress towards being swept out into upstream, and then they were making towards their boat. So yeah, here we go. You guys have a CETO membership, right? So our first on-the-water rendezvous, our first time anchoring in I guess a big city, as West Palm Beach was kind of close, but not quite this scale. And this is kind of fun. And really, this is our coolest bridge. The Main Street lift bridge over there is the coolest bridge we've had to experience yet.
So after 2 weeks of being at anchor on a mooring ball, it was time to head into a marina where we both had reservations for a week. Ortega Landing is up the Ortega River, and you have to go through a bridge, which happened to be half closed. It was a tight squeeze.
So you gonna make it?
Awesome, thank you.
You guys have a great day. You too. Take care.
And then it was just a short jaunt over to Ortega Landing, where we both got into our slips and nicely settled in to start exploring Jacksonville together for the week. And we arrived just in time for the Marina's monthly party, which happened to be all about pirates. A week together with these guys went by quickly. We did a lot of exploration, biking around town, and just enjoying it. And soon enough, it was time to see them back off to their home in Georgia. Thanks for the visit, Catherine. See you next time, Ann and Elliott.
So
question.
yes.
Is at what point are we officially on a side trip of the Great Loop and no longer on the official Great Loop?
Oh, I think as soon as that rendezvous point, we turned off the ICW. So I think this is officially side trip now.
Are you sure? Because Ortega Landing is kind of an AJLCA sponsor.
Well, it's a very this far is a very common side trip,
So-
but we are off the loop.
So I don't know if we're going to label these next few videos part of the Great Loop series or not. I'll have to
The Great Loop
contemplate
side
that.
trip series.
This is our side trip. Maybe we just go back to cruising. I think we're just cruisers at this point who are generally following the Great Loop.
Yes.
Sloopers, slow loopers, whatever. We're having a blast. We're loving this pace, and it works for us, and that's what's most important.
Yay! See you at the next stop.
We love having you come along for this ride. We share these videos mostly just for fun. It's our side hobby. If you like them, please do give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. We'd love hearing from you. It's our greatest reward for sharing. And a special thank to our Patreons for keeping us inspired.
Time warp.
It's now 2 months later. It's mid-October.
Yeah, so everything you just watched was filmed in August, and we still have other videos to produce between now and then, but we wanted to give you a little update about what we're up to and where we're at.
So we're still at Ortega Landing. We love the marina. It is amazing here. We ended up extending for 2 months, and it turned out to be a great place to hide out from hurricanes.
Yes, once we started seeing the Atlantic getting active, we checked in with the marina, and they're like, yeah, you can stay. And then we're like, yes.
Perfect place to be. We have gotten a lot of work done here and a lot of boat projects.
Yeah, so we've got lithium batteries on our boat now, a whole new inverter. We've basically redone our entire electrical system and a bunch of other stuff. So we've been filming that, and we'll have future videos documenting all of those upgrades that we've tackled. And now we are about to, just a couple days from now, set sail and cruise upstream, up the St. Johns River to Sanford.
So we're going to continue the journey that we've been talking about, just a little bit delayed. We figure we can get about a month of cruising there until we store the boat for the winter and return to our RV for the winter, which we're much looking forward to as well.
So if you are following this and catch this in in October and you want to hook up with us in Sanford or somewhere along the St. Johns River, drop us a line and be in touch. We know there's a lot of people who've told us they want to get together in Sanford.
So we're going to have a short visit, but we're going to probably try to organize a very rare meetup if we can. So let us know if you're interested, and we will see what we can transpire. If you're up for hosting something, let us know, because
Yes.
we know nothing about Sanford.
We have no idea what's going on. So, yeah, but we're going to be cruising up the river in a couple days and are looking forward to it. It's supposed to be beautiful.
All right.
All right.